Good morning, gang. Happy Sunday morning. Okay, so unless you live under a rock, you know that Trump trounced Nikki Haley last night. Won South Carolina by like 20 points. Take out all the Democrats that voted for Nikki Haley that wouldn't vote for Trump or Haley in November. Who knows? Probably closer to 30 points. If you look at what happened in CPAC this week, Trump won, 94-5? He won by 89. Okay. And of course, Nikki Haley, the grifter that she is, still refuses to drop out because she likes spending other people's money. As long as the Democrats keep donating to her, she'll keep pissing away money for, climbing uphill on ice. Never going to happen. But the question is this: how would you have known about it? Right? Okay. Most of us here are old enough to remember the days before the internet, before cell phones. Hell, I remember when cable TV started, okay? A lot of us could remember when you had 3, maybe 4 channels of television, ABC, CBS, NBC, and, maybe you got a PBS station. I lived in Chicago. We had Channel 44, which I think now is Fox, but, back then it was, basically an independent station or something like that when I was a kid. You think about how information is passed to us these days. You want to know something? Where's the first place you go? You go log onto the computer, pick up your phone or whatever, and you get the information. I want to know how to, make bouillabaisse. And you go find a recipe online, real easy. It's not like it used to be where you had to go to the library or go buy a cookbook or something like that and thumb through it, figure out what page it's on, find the cookbook, you grab your computer, bouillabaisse, poof, and you're done. Think about how information comes to us, okay? Back then, you had 30 minutes of local news in the evening, 30 minutes of national news in the evening. Maybe you, your folks, your dad, whatever, sit in his chair at the end of the day and read the newspaper for an hour, right? Remember all those days? Now, most newspapers have went under, and the ones that still exist are used for birdcage liner or packing material more than anything else. Nobody buys them. Journalism has died. We know that. There's no such thing as news anymore. It's the editorial section of the newspaper, the editorial paper. But imagine this. We go into any sort of SHTF event, from semi-major to full-blown Armageddon. There is no communication. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on in the next town over, certainly not the next state over, okay? Maybe, hopefully, you have some sort of radio system set up, GMRS, or you have ham radio or CB or something, so somehow information can get to you about what's going on, okay? Just imagine this. If the lights went out right now, no power, okay? Cell phone towers go out. You don't know what happened. You don't know if it's somebody ran their truck into a transformer somewhere, or we just got hit with an EMP, okay? You don't know because you have no way of getting information. And this is the thing. This is kind of when everybody says, oh, that's not what's going to happen, why I say communication is so important. I want you to think about this. Go back 40, 50 years. Go back to the 70s, the 80s, even the early 90s before we had internet. Like I said, you had a newspaper, you had 30 minutes of news local, 30 minutes of national on TV. No power, no TV. We really don't have any newspapers left, and, no power. They're not printing them anyway. Imagine everything that Washington or your local government or anybody got away with back then. And we just didn't know. Okay? Think about it now. How much would you really know about the Hunter Biden scandal? How much would you really know about Joe Biden not being able to put 3 words together in a sentence? You probably wouldn't know much. Certainly now the media would scrub that. You wouldn't see it. The way things are written in the media is always to make Joe look good. Okay. But fortunately, there's enough ability for us with other means of communication to find out, okay, yeah, this guy is an imbecilic buffoon. Now take all that out. That's what SHTF is going to be. That's the target. The less we know, the more they can get away with. Now, y'all know as well as I do, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on in Washington or goes on in your state capital or whatever that we don't know, that we're kept in the dark on, and it's probably a good thing, okay? Because honestly, if we all knew everything that was going on, you'd have an entire country or an entire world having constant panic attacks, okay? The anxiety level amongst everybody would be insane. In some respects, it's better for quality of life, to kind of go through life a little bit with some blinders on, okay? Use this as an example. I'll pretty much bet before COVID that 99% of us, including me, never heard of Wuhan before, okay? Never heard of Dr. Fauci before, okay? It's gain-of-function research, everything. And that's fine, okay? I don't want to know all this sort of stuff. But the stuff that's important, I want to know about. Think about if we go into a full-blown SHTF crisis. Let's say we have an EMP, Washington burns, whatever, Chinese attack, pick whatever reason you want to be, nuclear war. There are going to be survivors that are going to be the ones that have to rebuild the country. How? How is the country going to be rebuilt if we have no communications? Okay. Somebody's going to declare themselves president. You don't even know. Okay. Washington, D.C. for me is 8-hour, 10-hour drive from here. Okay. And I'm relatively close. Okay. Was it Pony Express is going to come tell me, get here in a week, say, oh, by the way, Joe Smith is the new president of the United States. Oh, who the hell is Joe Smith? Okay. Try running any sort of legal system without communications. Go back and think about this. The Pony Express, like I just mentioned, was one of the first forms of mail service. Trains. How the world got smaller when we had a little bit of communication back in the 1800s, when somebody from one town could get something to somebody in the next town. And I'm not talking about a box of bananas or whatever. I'm talking about news, something that's going on. You look back in time, the telegraph. Communication was always critical. Telephone. This stuff came into play a lot earlier in life, in history, than the automobile, than other things that we take for granted. When you're putting together your SHTF personal plan, we all should have a personal plan, know exactly what we're going to do, not try to shoot from the hip when it comes to that time. You need to know information. Where are you going to get it from? There will be out there other people that are going to be on radios of some sort, that are going to be able to communicate. But you don't want to find out 3 days after the fact that there was an earthquake that hit the other side of the state, and the first hearing you find out about it is when thousands of survivors are coming your way because where they lived has now been destroyed. I'm just using that as an example, or a fire or whatever. I mean, again, you live on the East Coast, for example. Now you have 3, 4, 5, 10 days worth of notice that a hurricane's in the Atlantic. What happens if you don't have that? Okay. If you have communication, you're going to have knowledge. And knowledge is probably the most important prep you can have. You can say water, you could say food, you could say bullets or whatever. Okay, I'll use this. What good is a gun if you don't know how to use it? What good is a garden plot if you don't know how to plant vegetables? Okay, anything. What good's a car if you don't know how to drive it? Knowledge, 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 knowledge. And you're only going to be able to get that from communication. Sure, you could go out and figure it out on your own, but how many people have gone, I think I'm going to go into the kitchen today and make up how to create bouillabaisse? Pinball out.